All right, welcome back. Today, we're diving into something that seems really simple, a cup of tea. But this cup of tea might just flip what you think you know about sugar on its head. A little home experiment turned up something pretty startling about one specific sweetener. So, yeah, let's get right into it. And it all starts with this one question. I mean, we kind of lump all sugars together, right? Sugar is sugar. But what if that's not the whole story? What if one of them is just fundamentally different? So, how do you even begin to answer a question like that? Well, you run a test, a really simple one, actually. We're going to look at a personal experiment that put a traditional, kind of less known sweetener up against all the usual suspects we use every single day. Okay, so let me introduce you to the main character in our story today, Desi Khand. Now, if you've never heard of it, don't worry, it's basically an unrefined sugar made straight from sugarcane. And the big claim to fame, it's supposed to have a lower glycemic index. In plain English, that means it shouldn't spike your blood sugar as much. But, is that actually true?
And the test itself couldn't be easier. It was literally just 1 cup of tea sweetened with this Desi Khand. Then, using a continuous glucose monitor, the goal was just to watch and see what happens to the blood sugar levels. No fancy lab, no white coats, just a simple, real-world experiment.
Okay, let's get to the good stuff, the results. The very first thing we've got to look at is that initial spike in blood sugar. That's the big number everyone's always focused on. How high did it actually go?
The number that came back? 13.
Yeah, that's it. The total increase in blood sugar was just 13 milligrams per deciliter. Now, for anyone out there who tracks this stuff, you know that is a shockingly low number for anything with sugar in it. A really, really small spike. But, okay, how low is 13, really? I mean, a number by itself doesn't mean much, right? To get why this is such a big deal, we need to put it into context. So let's see how Desi Khand compares to other sweeteners when they're tested in the exact same way. Whoa, just look at this chart. Regular white sugar, that sent blood sugar up by 24 milligrams. Honey did a little better, clocking in at 20. But Desi Khand, down there at 13, it's just in a completely different ballpark. We're not talking about a small improvement here. This is a huge difference. And here's the full league table, you could call it. What's interesting is that Jaggery, another one of these traditional sweeteners, actually performed just as poorly as white sugar, a 24 milligram spike. Then you have honey at 20, and then way, way down at the bottom, all by itself, is Desi Khand. It's the undisputed winner here. So, okay, Desi Khand gives you the lowest spike. Game over, right? It's the best. Well, hold on. It's not quite that simple. Because the data showed something else, a second piece to the puzzle. That's honestly even more interesting than just the height of that spike. Yeah, this is where things get really fascinating. See, it turns out it's not just about how high your blood sugar goes. It's also about the journey it takes to get there and back down again, the actual shape of that curve over time. And here's the second big reveal. Even though the spike was way smaller, like half of white sugars, it took almost double the time for blood sugar to get back to normal. Now, you might hear that and think, wait, a longer response time? That sounds bad. But actually, it's a fantastic thing. Here's a good way to picture it. White sugar is like a roller coaster, right? You get that sharp spike way up and then a super fast crash back down. But Desi Khand, it's more like a gentle rolling hill, just a small bump up followed by this long, slow, gradual return to baseline. So, why is that so great? Well, this slow return means the total sugar impact, what we call the glycemic load, is spread out over a much longer period. Instead of your body getting slammed with all that sugar at once, it's getting a slow, steady trickle. And for your system, for your metabolism, that is a great thing. Okay, let's zoom out for a second. What's the big takeaway? This little experiment with a cup of tea actually opens up a much bigger conversation. A conversation about something we probably don't think about enough: how our food is processed. So, why the big difference? Well, the most likely culprit is processing. Desi Khand is way, way less processed than that super refined, pure white sugar we all have in our kitchens. And the thinking is that this minimal processing is exactly what allows for that slower, more controlled energy release. So let's boil it all down. A lower spike, that's a win. A slower, more gradual curve, also a win. And when you get both of those things together in one package, that is the absolute best case scenario for managing your blood sugar and keeping your energy stable. It's a total win-win. And all of this leaves us with one last really big question. When you see results like this, you just have to ask yourself, why on earth do we all switch to using hyper-refined white sugar when these traditional, less processed sugars seem to be so much better for our bodies? It's definitely some food for thought.